anything. So listen, speaking of things that are not okay, just like the Golden Crown, Prince Andrew, James O'Keefe has just broke some news. Now, it's not news that we didn't know or really expect, but still, nonetheless, broke some news from an interview that was conducted. Man, James O'Keefe, a real headhunter for breaking stories. Let's check it out.
Yeah, can I?
He was in the Navy. He was 250 days at sea. He never saw his family. I was really pissed because he lied to me. Epstein. And then I did a big thing in the Daily Mail saying that I believed Andrew. And then I found out he was lying. I was so pissed. No, that he was f***ing underage girls. That's not cool.
John Bryan is.
So,
Oh my God! Can we
there you
get through it already? Can we hear the segment? Like at least what's happening?
Oh,
We
is there
keep
more?
cutting everything
There's more?
off. Hey, we haven't heard anything. We don't even let them talk, and before we interrupt people.
Been a
Oh,
close
yeah, go ahead.
confidant to the British royal
I mean, I wanted to talk more about Golden Corral, but we can't do that.
family for a long time. He worked for Queen Elizabeth II, was, quote, best friends with Princess Diana, and had a long-term intimate relationship with the Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson. According to Bryan, he practically raised Sarah Ferguson's children, the princesses Beatrice and Eugene. And Bryan said that he maintained a friendship with Ferguson's husband, the Duke of York, Prince Andrew.
Tell me like your story.
So my story, you want to know my story?
What?
Like I've been so famous at times. When I was on
This
the
guy
front
is
page of
tipsy.
every newspaper in the planet, because I was working with the Queen of England.
Okay.
You know, she's Queen Elizabeth. I was working with all the families, Princess Diana.
Yeah, well, I was looking for that.
And I met the Duchess of York.
Okay.
That's Prince Andrew's wife. They were separated.
When he's talking right now, can you like I just heard the girl's okay. She's like, okay. Like you can totally see this woman that's trying to seduce him to keep his attention going. You know, I can see that performance going on. Wonderful Jezebelic performance. Congratulations, O'Keefe.
And then Sarah and I sort of fell in love. And we lived together for like 5 years in my house in England. And I raised their 2 little children. For so cute.
Wait, her
Beatrice usually. Those were
I know.
my children.
kids?
Those were
Insane.
my kids. I raised those kids.
That's crazy.
Day to day raised. I was father to those kids.
Prince Andrew's connection to Jeffrey Epstein emerged in 2010, when photos showed them walking together in New York's Central Park. Epstein had already been convicted in 2008 of procuring a 14-year-old girl for prostitution. In 2014, a woman named Virginia Giuffre alleged in a Florida court filing that Jeffrey Epstein paid her to have sex with Prince Andrew when she was 17, a minor. On April 25th, a few weeks ago, Giuffre died by, quote, suicide. Prince Andrew denied Giuffre's sex abuse allegations in a now infamous 2019 BBC interview.
She said she had sex with you 3
Suicide. Like we don't just like let that go. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You murdering, devil worshipping scumbags.
times, once on his private island in a group of 7 or 8 other girls.
No.
Oh,
Look down. You see that? Oh,
That girl looks just like my
that's
sister.
guilt. Oh, you see how he did that? He said, he looked down, and that's the guilt.
You're a devil worshiper.
No to
That's what
all
you
of
are.
it.
All of it. Absolutely no to all of it.
The interview was
Practice
a
that in
public
your mirror a few
relations
times.
disaster for the royal family and prompted the Queen to strip Prince Andrew of his royal duties. In the aftermath of that interview, the prince sought advice from a longtime royal family confidant, John Bryan.
Wait, so you were not friends with her?
Oh, very good. Oh, no, we were very civilized. We'd go have dinner at his house. We'd have dinner at my house to see his.
He's got a nice haircut, though.
Then we go on holiday in the south of France, and I get a big property, like 10 acres,
Okay.
right near f***ing Central Bay, right? You know, nobody has 10 acres. I'm on the biggest f***ing property, beautiful house.
Okay.
I rent it so that we have privacy. Right? Because the paparazzi are everywhere. There's hundreds
Okay.
of paparazzi.
I think I saw a comment on this video that said everybody in the restaurant heard what he was saying because the guy was talking so loud. This woman gave him like the quadruple tequila shot, like
Yeah.
20 shots in one drink type drink. This lady gave him that truth serum
For
that
sure.
they give the people.
For sure. And the
Yeah.
truth serum is part of her smile.
Prince Andrew, he was in the Navy. He was 250
Really?
days at sea. Never
Oh
saw
my
it.
God.
I was really pissed. 'cause he
Continue.
lied to me.
Lied about
Epstein.
It even says OMG journalist. Like she's even called the OMG journalist.
Yeah, and by the way, James O'Keefe, like how much more? I mean, I was doing this stuff like 17, 18 years ago, and I never had the levels of balls that everything I did, hundreds of confrontations, is a joke compared to what James does. Guts. This is real guts, okay? And I know these whistleblowers also have got the guts, right? But all of us have got to learn to follow in the footsteps of what people and James are doing, because there's a lot of YouTube people who don't take any risks. Don't take any risk to make a thumbnail, okay? But taking risks like this, put your name on the line, dealing with the whistleblowers. I mean, this is just stuff that this is what a patriot is, okay? Not YouTuber influencers are not patriots. This is a patriot.
Yeah, I wanted to say that, if I may, I wanted to preface that, before we started watching this, like how major this is. Like, okay, yeah, we suspected this whole time that, Prince Andrew was guilty. It was suspected that, right? But, there was never really concrete, hardcore testimony evidence, right? And
they murdered that girl who suicided herself.
Yes,
yeah, right.
just
You
recently.
murdered her. She looks just like my sister.
Just recently. Like she literally just died. And so this is huge. And this is what is needed, is to be able to get evidence like this, put it out and blast it through the public so that the public opinion can see it. Because if there's one thing that the globalist elites are afraid of, is number one, Jesus Christ above all things. But they're also afraid of the masses of people. If the mass, that's why they want to kill everybody off. That's why they want to lower the population.
They're so
anyways,
they're so confident in their delusion, Yeah.
Prince Andrew, he was in the Navy. He was 250 days at sea. Never saw it again. I was really pissed because he lied to me.
Lied about
Epstein. And then I did a big thing in the Daily Mail saying that I believed Andrew. And then I found out he was lying. I was
lying
so
about
pissed.
what? Spring underage.
No, that he was f***ing underage girls. That's not cool.
John Bryan has been a close confidant to the British
Yeah,
royal
it's not cool. Not to make fun of it. Does anybody want to do a role playing with me where I pretend to be John and you pretend to be the girl? Or I'll pretend to be the girl and you pretend to be John?
No, I'm good. No, I pass.
All right, fine.
Prince Andrew, he was in the Navy. He was 250 days at sea. Never saw it again. I was really pissed because he lied to me.
Lied about
Epstein. And then I did a big thing in the Daily Mail.
I was really, really PO'd because he told me I wasn't having sex with little girls, and then it's like, it turns out he was. He was like totally out, and she was like 15 years old, and it really hurt me.
Prince Andrew, he was in the Navy. He was
Hey, why do we keep on going back, man? Come on.
I was
lying
so
about
pissed.
what? Spring underage.
No, that he was
What do you want to do?
Dude, why do we
Done?
keep on stopping, man? And like,
I thought you were saying you were done with it, Dad. I'm
no, I wanted to be played. I don't.
like I've been so famous at times. Like I've been so famous at times. When I was on the front page of every newspaper on the planet, because I was working with the Queen of England.
Okay.
She's Queen Elizabeth. I was working with all the families. Princess Diana was one of my best friends. And I met the Duchess of York.
Okay.
That's Prince Andrew's wife. They were separated. And then Sarah and I sort of fell in love. And we lived together for like 7 years.
Did this didn't get
And my
replayed,
house
did it?
ruined. And I raised their 2 little children. For some reason.
Wait, her kids?
Beatrice usually.
Yeah. We're playing this
Those were
back.
my
Yes
children.
or no?
Those were
We saw
my.
that. Yeah, we saw that part already.
Yeah.
That's a repeat. That's a rerun. But look, if I can say something here, like number one, I'm not sure what true cinema's talking about, with all
Yeah,
these judging
there's no context.
scriptures. But listen, the truth has to come out, okay? And anybody who loves justice is going to want justice to be served, especially when we're talking about people, PDF files, right, that need to do time and and pay their dues in justice. There's nothing wrong with that. Yes, obviously, we want them to get saved. We want people to not burn in hell. We want them to go to heaven. We want them to have forgiveness. But that does not mean that justice doesn't get served. Anybody who's a child of God should advocate for justice, and justice should happen. Okay, if Prince Andrew's guilty, and whoever is killing these people, like, also this, what was Virginia Jeffrey, or I think that's how, Guffrey. Justice needs to be served, right? And so this is what's happening. It's getting out there, and I think this is also where we need to pray for James O'Keefe and the O'Keefe Media Group personnel, and keep them in prayer, because they are going into the lion's den with this stuff, right? And exposing. The Bible actually says to expose unfruitful works of darkness, right? Have no fellowship for works of darkness, but rather expose them, the Bible says. And that's what's happening, okay? And that's what needs to happen. So
Yeah, man, I agree. Pray for the people that are putting out this content. Pray for justice for Virginia. I don't believe that she killed herself. Pray for if the injustice that seems very clear that's been done by Prince Andrew. Pray that he would be brought to justice. But again, just like Alex said, I agree. We pray for repentance and restoration for everybody. But yeah, just pray for this whole situation. Brother Matt, did you have any other thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, no, just like we were buffering or something was going on. Yeah, no, I just this brings into context how numb we get. I don't know about you guys, but we get to everything. I remember I said it a few times in the show when I first stumbled upon the satanic child sacrificing cabal that my emotions were so intense. I remember I was working for this company 20 years ago. I'd go on their balcony on the outside, and I literally could cry on demand. I literally had so much concern for what's happening to these kids, and now I'm so numb. And now the more evidence that comes out, even though I used to chase these people down the street screaming these type of accusations at them, okay? And now to be living in the time where they're being exposed, and we're not all up in arms, we're not outside the White House, and we're sitting here demanding, for example, that the Epstein tapes be released. Pam Bondi is saying that they have thousands of videos of molestations of children, okay, taking place. I don't know about you. I don't know if, like, in your mind, you hear someone's 15, 16 years old, 17 years old, like, are you like, okay, that's not so bad, right? Even though it's terrible, but then when you're thinking of like 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds, that makes you want to cut somebody's head off, right? But there's such a incredible network of blackmail which we've allowed to take over this country and allowed to take over the world. Meanwhile, as we wait and as we sit here in the realms of conspiracy and alternative news, I just feel myself becoming watered down, and my heart hardened against such atrocities, and it makes me look in the mirror and question myself of who I even am anymore. Because as much as I'm upset about this, I take it back to when I first discovered this information. It's nowhere near on that level that it was when I was in my 20s, when I literally could cry on demand, for what's happening. And I'm upset, but I'm really upset with myself, and it makes me question the psychology about what happens when you sit on information for as long as we've had to sit on it. Hope deferred makes the heart grow sick. My heart is sick regarding this stuff, and I want to see them go to jail. I want to see them people go to prison. and I'm looking forward I'm looking forward to their arrests and to the P Diddy's and to the Epsteins and the exposure of this human trafficking, child sacrifice, sex ring that has been deduced to language that just is not sad. That doesn't satisfactorily reflect the predicament that we're in. And I don't know how much longer I can talk about this and hear exposures and hear these things being, touted without actually action being followed by people going to jail. I want to see the Truman Show, which is this pedophile island, of everyone who was involved in that. Okay. They need to be used as a testimony for the entire world of how far humanity has fallen and who we're up against. And when we say globalist, who it is we're talking about. This is what will unite this country, is when it exposes who our real enemy is, these people.
Yeah, if I may, there was a video that literally was just dropped about 2 hours ago. It's part 2. James O'Keefe has basically Attorney General Pam Bondi was covertly recorded on April 28th, revealing previously undisclosed information. If you can, share my screen so everybody can see this. Okay. Undisclosed information about Epstein's regarding tens of thousands of videos of little kids to a complete stranger in a DC restaurant. Yesterday, the Attorney General made an almost identical statement publicly after O'Keefe Media provided a quote of what she said and a request for a comment. Here's the video.
Yesterday, Attorney General of the United States Pam Bondi was at the White House and disclosed what she represented as brand new information in relation to Jeffrey Epstein, the existence of tens of thousands of videos featuring little children.
There are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn.
Now, this is the first time an official has publicly acknowledged that videos of Epstein and his victims exist. What you may not know is just 9 days prior, the Attorney General had a very similar conversation with a total stranger in a restaurant.
Do you know when the Epstein files are going to get released?
We hope soon. The FBI's been.
Okay.
So,
any dates?
No, you know what it is? There are tons and thousands of videos.
Yeah.
And it's all with little kids. So they have to go through every one.
In the past, officials have spoken about the, quote, mountain of evidence in the Epstein case, but they've never, previous to that moment, acknowledged on the existence of videos of, quote, little kids. Just a few days later, at 2 p.m. on May 1st, our reporter sent the AG's office the text of the recording. We asked why this detail had not been disclosed to the public, but was instead being told to a random stranger at a restaurant. The Attorney General used almost the exact same language as she did with the stranger in the restaurant, language that we shared with her press office.
There are tons and thousands of videos.
Yeah.
And it's all with little kids.
There are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn.
Now, we hesitated to publish this story, but believe, like we did yesterday, that the public has a right to know. And this one raises serious questions. On one hand, why did our country's highest law enforcement official share this information first not with the American people, but with a self-described nanny at brunch? But more importantly, why was this information held back in the first place? Does this show that a government apparatus is still working behind the scenes to protect powerful people involved in the scandal? Based upon the response to our Epstein story yesterday, it's clear that the American people want answers, and they want accountability.
So,
Man.
right when I hear that, I kind of have a basic reaction to this, and it's that, isn't that what we would have expected already? If they say that they have mountains of evidence, and this has nothing, we support, obviously we just talked about how awesome James Keefe's work is, but is it mountains of evidence? I would assume that there's a lot of child porn and there's a lot of evidence of this, the guy, we know what the guy did. So I would assume that that this evidence would be that. So isn't this not really a surprise? And I think like what I see is she said it the way she said it in public, and it was recorded and documented, and they sent it to her to say, hey, you said it like this in public. And then she's like, oh no, they're going to think I'm withholding information. I better go out there and say it like I said it, or else it's going to look bad. That's how I see it. How do you see it, Brother Matt?
I'm hesitant to jump down Pam Bondi's throat. I don't really think that I heard anything there that was too substantial that would indicate any type of conspiracy. I think that that in terms of the amount of time that we've seen the going in and raiding the FBI field offices in New York in order to get possession of this video footage and stuff. I've always cared about like packaging, and I know that she says that everything was going to be released, and then she didn't release it on this particular date. I would hope that now it's about when we do come to the public and we do release all of this, this is going to be like interrupting your television screens in the middle of work, in the middle of school. They drag in the TV screen and show it to all the kids. Now, when they do make the release is when I'm preserving my judgment. And how they refrain this release and what details are released is when I'm going to be able to be suspicious or not. Because this is literally interrupt Sesame Street and tell the world what's been taking place because of who is behind the scenes, responsible for taking over the world governments and then also being child pedophiles. At this point, I don't think that's conclusive enough. Of course, she's going to be having side note conversations per se, and of course, I would want her to have the proper packaging when she does bring this to the attention of the American people. Yeah.
Deacon Alex?
This is the first time I'm watching it because it literally got posted since we've been on the air. So that was the first time I watched it. Now, I did see a post that included from James O'Keefe that did include Pam Bondi, like on a thumbnail type of thing. So I was expecting something to come out. Now, what are my thoughts on this is, I think my thoughts right now are the same. They can't necessarily give the American public all the info, number one, because it's child pornography. And, the amount of abuse, I don't even want to imagine it, but you can't do that. So you can't release that. Number two, you have to protect the victims' identities if, Lord willing, they're still alive. So you have to protect their identity. Number three, you also have to make sure that you build a case against, which I don't know how much more of a case you need if you've got video evidence, but you need to build a case against high profile individuals. If people like that we're talking about, maybe a Clinton, maybe, whoever, I don't know. I just throwing names out there. You need to build a case and you need to make sure, and then you can't just go out and start publicizing that, because if you are building a case, you want to make the arrest without tipping them off. Right. So there's that angle that I would be looking at. But I think James O'Keefe does raise a good question. Why would you tell somebody who is a self-proclaimed nanny, who's supposed to be a stranger, maybe she saw her eating in a restaurant in Washington, D.C. and kind of just, went up to her. Why would you tell a stranger that you have all this, but you haven't told us? I would assume that they would have that. I don't think that that's anything like a bombshell per se, but why wouldn't you just tell the American people? And now all of a sudden she's doing it almost word for word. It does look a little bit sus. It's kind of sussy.
Yeah, but she's also got egg on her face from saying that we were going to have the paperwork and then we didn't have the paperwork, right? And that's the same thing that they ended up doing with the JFK files.
I get it. I'm just saying it looks a little sussy.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. From optics, I could see how it could look a little sussy, but I just can't get away from the fact that it's like it's exactly what I expected. And yeah, maybe she didn't want to say it like that, and she said it kind of casually in conversation. I don't know, but either way, I assumed the mountains of evidence was inappropriate stuff. So, gentlemen, or Matt, were you trying to?
Well, I mean, I was just going to make it a little bit lighter. Jonathan, are you in Tampa?
I am.
You are. Have you ever been to Fred's Market? Okay. Fred's Market, in addition, now is actually a 10 out of 10 buffet that I recommend everyone go to. And it's actually a infused buffet. Wonderful Thousand Island as well. Great food. If you and your wife have not been there, you are absolutely insane. Fred's Market. It is really about, they have got pictures on the wall, sweet tea and Jesus. They're playing Jesus music in the background. It's just loaded. Fantastic buffet, fantastic food. Sorry, Jonathan, I just had to say it.
Man, don't be sorry. That's awesome. I love that. I got to go there. I have not heard of Fred's, but I will definitely be checking Fred's out. That sounds amazing. Well, gentlemen, we have covered a lot of stuff today. We went from Pope to Ye to Alberta to Prince Andre and now to fried chicken from Fred. But now we're back. It's just the three of us. We're closing things out. Final thoughts.
Well, we still have 3 more videos. Are we not going to do it?
3 more videos. And what are the topics of these videos?
Well,
I must not have these written down.
Well, there are buttons in your profile. However, so what we got...
Product scale. I see that.
Okay, so we got Trump and Mark Carney. We did that one. Piers Morgan.